The wealthy don't keep cars, they keep appearances. When the lease ends, when a bigger screen drops, when the neighbor pulls up in something newer, they abandon engineering masterpieces that were built to last forever, not because the car failed them, because they needed something to talk about at dinner. Today on Carverse, we are exposing 7 indestructible V8 sedans rich people abandoned that are now absolute bargains. Machines with over-engineered metallurgy, mechanical margin that modern cars will never match, and V8 engines that were built before manufacturers started counting every gram of metal to hit a price point. The wealthy walked away. Their loss is your Carverse gold mine. Hit subscribe right now if you want to stop paying for depreciation and start owning real power. Let's look at what they left behind. Car number 7, Mercedes-Benz E550 W212 2010 to 2011, the German heavyweight. Why it was abandoned, rich W212 owners moved to the twin-turbo 4.7-liter bi-turbo successor or traded into the newer E-Class generation. The naturally aspirated V8 felt old next to forced induction horsepower numbers, even though the engineering beneath it was fundamentally superior for long-term ownership. The Carverse gold mine, the M273 5.5-liter naturally aspirated V8 is the final evolution of Mercedes' naturally aspirated V8 philosophy. No turbos, no intercoolers, no forced induction stress points. This is the last time Mercedes built a naturally aspirated V8 for the E-Class, and it shows in the ownership record. Independent Mercedes specialists regard the M273 as the most predictable long-term ownership experience in the W212 lineup. The mechanical margin built into this engine, tuned conservatively relative to its displacement ceiling, delivers an ownership experience that the bi-turbo successor simply cannot match for long-term durability. Buyer's intelligence. Confirm the balanced shaft bearing service history on higher mileage M273 examples. This is the one known wear item at extended mileage. Inexpensive to address proactively at an independent Mercedes specialist, expensive to ignore. Status math. New, $65,000 plus, now $10,000 to $13,000. The wealthy's loss. The final naturally aspirated Mercedes 5.8 sedan, available now before the market prices that finality correctly. Carverse exposes what rich people abandoned and why those abandonments are your opportunity. If this channel finds value nobody else is talking about, hit subscribe right now, the bell too. Car number 6, Hyundai Equus Ultimate 2011 to 2013, the hidden flagship. Why it was abandoned, pure badge snobbery. Executives who drove Equus couldn't explain the Hyundai badge at the golf club, regardless of what the car delivered mechanically. They moved to Genesis brand vehicles or returned to German alternatives, not because the Equus failed them, but because their social circle noticed the emblem. The wealthy's vanity created one of the most significant depreciation traps in recent automotive history. The Carverse gold mine. The Tau 5.0-liter naturally aspirated V8 won Ward's 10 best engines multiple consecutive years, competing against and defeating European alternatives from manufacturers with decades of prestige engineering behind them. This is not a consolation prize engine. This is an objectively exceptional V8 that happened to wear the wrong badge for executive social requirements. The rear seat experience in the Equus Ultimate competes directly with the Mercedes S-Class of its era. Rear seat massage, individual climate control, reclining rear seats, a cabin assembled to standards that Hyundai's warranty cost reduction culture demanded be genuinely faultless. Buyer's intelligence. Inspect the electronic air suspension control module specifically, a known wear item on higher mileage Equus examples. Independent Hyundai specialists have developed efficient repair protocols. With this addressed, the Equus delivers a flagship ownership experience at fraction pricing. Status math. New, $60,000 plus, now $9,000 to $12,000. Ward's Best Engine Award winner. S-Class rear seat experience. Abandoned because of a badge. Your Carverse gold mine because of that same badge. Car number 5, Chrysler 300 CSRT8, 2006 to 2010. The Snobbery. The muscle tuxedo. Why it was abandoned. Executive owners who bought the 300 CSRT8 as a statement vehicle eventually found the aggression incompatible with the Tesla-driving, efficiency-signaling social environment of the late 2000s and 10s. Fuel consumption became a social liability. The SRT8 was traded for crossovers and EVs by owners who no longer wanted to explain their horsepower. The Carverse gold mine. The 6.1-liter Hemi 5.8 in the SRT8 configuration carries one specific advantage over every other Hemi application that the market consistently undervalues. No multi-displacement system, no cylinder deactivation, no MDS solenoids, no AFM lifter concerns. The SRT8 Hemi is a pure, mechanically simple, over-engineered V8 that produces 425 horsepower through an architecture with fewer internal complexity points than any comparable American V8 of its era. This engine was built to work, and built without the cost reduction compromises that introduced failure modes into lesser Hemi applications. The 300C exterior communicates presence that embarrasses vehicles at 3 times the current asking price. The chrome grille, the planted wide stance, the rear presence of a car that was always designed to be looked at. Buyer's intelligence, confirm the rear differential fluid service history. The limited slip differential in SRT8 specification requires fluid service at 30,000-mile intervals. Neglected rear differentials are the most common expensive repair on high-mileage SRT8 examples. With this addressed, the 6.1 Hemi is essentially indestructible. Status math, new, $45,000 plus. Now, $11,000 to $14,000. 425 horsepower, no cylinder deactivation complexity, abandoned by owners who decided power was socially inconvenient. Drop your answer in the comments. Which V8 on this list would you least want to explain to your neighbors? And which would you be most proud to park in the driveway? Let's see what the car-verse community actually thinks. Car number 4, Lexus GS 400/430, 1998 to 2005, the Japanese dark horse. Why it was abandoned. Original GS 400 and GS 430 owners upgraded to newer GS generations or the LS flagship, leaving behind a chassis and engine combination that mechanically surpasses almost everything that replaced it. The newer models offered updated technology. They never matched the 1UZ-FE and 3UZ-FE for mechanical longevity. The Carverse, Goldmine, the 1UZ-FE and 3UZ-FE naturally aspirated V8 engines are the powertrains that built the Lexus engineering legend. These are the engines Lexus specialists reference when explaining what Toyota's over-engineered metallurgy actually means in real-world ownership. Documented examples with original engines at 400,000 and 500,000 miles are not exceptional cases in this community. They are expected outcomes of proper maintenance. The GS chassis is lighter and more driver-focused than the LS flagship, giving these engines a dynamic context that makes every mile intentional. This is the Lexus that drives rather than merely transports. Buyer's intelligence, confirmed timing belt service at the specified interval, approximately 90,000 miles on the 1UZ-FE and 3UZ-FE. This is the single most important preventive maintenance item and the most frequently deferred by previous owners. A confirmed timing belt service history transforms this car from a question mark into a genuine 300,000-mile goldmine. Status math, new, $50,000 plus. Now, $6,000 to $9,000. The engines that built the Lexus legend, in the chassis that made them dynamic, at prices that represent the mechanical margin dividend in its purest form. Before the top 3, Carverse finds what the wealthy abandoned and what that abandonment is actually worth. Subscribe right now, hit the bell. The community that finds these gold mines first wins. Car number 3, Lincoln Town Car Signature Limited, 2003 to 2011, the American Diplomat. Why it was abandoned. Corporate executives who relied on town cars for decades eventually decided the body-on-frame luxury sedan looked old-fashioned next to European alternatives and American SUVs. The town car's formal proportions, which were always its greatest visual strength, were reframed as dated. Owners moved to Escalades and Navigators, leaving behind one of the most mechanically proven American V8 platforms ever produced. The Carverse Goldmine. The 4.6-liter modular V8 is the reason limousine operators and law enforcement agencies specified town cars for decades of continuous commercial service. This engine was not chosen by fleets because it was impressive. It was chosen because it simply never stopped working. The mechanical margin in the modular V8 reflects the specific demands of commercial applications. Fleet buyers don't tolerate engineering drama. They specify vehicles that run, maintain predictably, and continue operating under load cycles that would reveal any weakness in lesser powertrains. The town car's decades of commercial dominance is the most honest reliability endorsement any engine has ever received. Body-on-frame construction delivers a ride quality that modern unibody vehicles, regardless of price, cannot replicate. The isolation between road and cabin is genuinely exceptional. Buyer's intelligence. Inspect the air suspension rear bag specifically. The town car's rear air suspension is a known wear item at higher mileage. Conversion to coil springs is a well-documented, inexpensive procedure that eliminates this concern permanently. Budget $300 to $500 for the conversion. With this addressed, you own a 500,000-mile engine in a commercial-grade chassis for less than the cost of a weekend trip. Status math, new, $45,000 plus. now $5,000 to $8,000. Fleet proven. Limousine specified. Abandoned because it looked old-fashioned. Available because everyone else agreed. Car number 2, BMW 740i/750i E38 1995 to 2001, the Bavarian Rebel. Why it was abandoned. When the E65 generation arrived with the controversial bangle styling and the original iDrive system, E38 owners either moved forward into the new generation or exited BMW entirely. The E38 was suddenly old in the showroom context, despite being widely considered by automotive designers and enthusiasts as the most perfectly proportioned 7 Series in BMW's entire production history. The Carverse goldmine. The M60 and M62 naturally aspirated V8 engines carry a long-term reliability record that the E38 ownership community regards as BMW's finest naturally aspirated V8 achievement. The M62 specifically, in 740i and 750i applications, delivers the naturally aspirated linear power character that defines what a proper luxury sedan driver's car should feel like. The E38 exterior has never gone out of style. Classic proportions, the Hofmeister kink, a roofline that communicates executive authority without the visual aggression that dates so many contemporary designs. Park a clean E38 anywhere and people assume it is a considered, deliberate choice, because it is. Buyer's intelligence. Confirm Nikasil cylinder liner condition on pre-1999 M60 engines specifically. Early production, M60 units use Nikasil liners susceptible to fuel-related corrosion in certain markets. Post-1999, M62 engines eliminated this concern entirely. Target 1999 and later examples for the cleanest long-term ownership proposition. Status, math, new, $70,000 plus, now $8,000 to $12,000. Widely considered the most beautiful 7 Series ever built. Abandoned when new arrived. Available now because new aged badly and this one never did. Car number 1, Volkswagen Phaeton 5.8, 2004 to 2006, the Stealth Aristocrat. This is the Carverse number 1, the most famous rich person abandonment in automotive history. Why it was abandoned. Volkswagen built a $95,000 flagship sedan, and nobody who could afford it wanted to drive a Volkswagen to the country club. The Phaeton was mechanically and experientially superior to many vehicles at its original price point, and the wealthy who bought them ultimately found the badge socially impossible to justify. They moved to Bentleys, Mercedes flagships, and Audi A8s, cars that announced their price to every observer. The Phaeton announced nothing, and that silence was commercially catastrophic. The Carverse goldmine. The Phaeton V8 is, quite literally, a Bentley Continental flying spur wearing a Volkswagen suit. Shared platform, shared engineering architecture, hand-built in Ferdinand Piech's glass factory in Dresden, a manufacturing facility so obsessively precise that the floors were designed to be driven on by white-gloved workers without leaving marks. The 4.2-liter naturally aspirated V8 is the configuration that represents the most straightforward long-term ownership proposition in the Phaeton lineup. Less complexity than the W12, better understood by independent VW Group specialists, with parts availability through the Volkswagen ecosystem rather than Bentley premium pricing. The interior was built to specifications that Volkswagen's engineering culture demanded match or exceed the S-Class. The acoustic insulation, the material quality, the fit and finish consistency. Ferdinand Piech personally approved every interior surface. The result is a cabin that remains exceptional by current standards, assembled in a factory so precise it has no parallel in automotive manufacturing history. Buyer's intelligence. The Phaeton 5.8 requires a VW Group specialist with Phaeton-specific diagnostic capability. This platform has unique electronic architecture that general VW mechanics cannot fully access. Confirm your specialist has VCDS capability with Phaeton module access before purchasing. Parts availability through VW Group pricing makes maintenance costs manageable, but only with a specialist who can read the full system. Status math. New, $95,000 plus. Now, $7,000 to $10,000. Hand-built in a glass factory. Bentley platform. Abandoned because it wore the wrong badge for people who needed their wealth acknowledged. That social failure is the greatest Carverse goldmine on this entire list. The wealthy's loss, your buying framework. 7 cars abandoned for reasons that had nothing to do with engineering and everything to do with appearances. The depreciation trap they left behind. Every car on this list depreciated because of perception, badge anxiety, social signaling failures, the pursuit of newer screens. The mechanical margin that justified the original price never depreciated alongside the badge. Your single non-negotiable rule. Documented service history from single professional owners. These cars were maintained by people for whom cost was irrelevant. Find those examples. The maintenance investment those owners made is permanently embedded in the car's mechanical fabric. The specialist infrastructure, independent Mercedes, Hyundai, Chrysler, Lexus, Lincoln, BMW, and VW group specialists in your market. Every platform here has dedicated independent mechanics at 40 to 60% below dealership rates. Find yours before purchase. The wealthy left, you should arrive. 7 V8 sedans. 7 abandonment stories that had nothing to do with mechanical failure and everything to do with human vanity. Mercedes E550W212, the final naturally aspirated Mercedes V8 sedan abandoned for turbo horsepower numbers. Hyundai Equus, Ward's Best Engine Award winner abandoned for badge acceptability. Chrysler 300 CSR-T8, 425 horsepower of pure Hemi abandoned when power became socially inconvenient. Lexus GS 400/430, the engines that built the Lexus legend, abandoned for newer technology that never matched their longevity. Lincoln Town Car, fleet-proven commercial-grade V8 abandoned for looking old-fashioned. BMW E38 74 OI/75 OI, the most beautiful 7 Series ever built, abandoned when new arrived. And the Volkswagen Phaeton V8, a Bentley in a VW suit hand-built in a glass factory, abandoned because the badge required explanation. 7 gold mines, all left behind by people who prioritized appearances over engineering reality. The wealthy walked away from mechanical immortality. Carverse just showed you exactly where they left it. Which one are you picking up? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Carverse has one more video on screen right now. Click it and I'll see you there.